Hi there, thank you for joining me to chat about this latest episode of Sister Wives, Season 18, Episode 13. If you're a fan of the show, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And also let me know your thoughts on the episodes in the comments. You can also hit the thumbs up button as well, whatever works for you. So in the episode, it starts out showing where Christine and Mykelti are having a video conference to do the gender reveal. And also, Robin and Kody are invited. All the other kids are present, which is nice to see. Christine is nervous as far as whether Gabe and Garrison are going to show up because, as we know, they want nothing to do with Kody. Kody, in his confessional, says that he's pretty nervous because he really hasn't had a positive experience with some of the kids. I'm guessing maybe he's talking about Gabe and Garrison, and I was like, I wonder why. So he's saying he's going in like this is about Tony, Mykelti, and the babies. And I'm like, well, it is about them. That's what you should do. Robin says that she's hoping that everybody can see their smiles and their encouragement, and that will help them realize that she's not the bad guy. So she really believes that her smiling is going to undo everything that she's done. But anyway, even as she's saying that, we see her on the video call, no smiles could be found. Aurora says she wants to speak up on her mom's behalf because contrary to what everyone believes, Robin is one of the biggest cheerleaders for good and healthy relationships between Kody and the kids and Kody and the wives. Well, this must be a best kept secret because we're not seeing that on the show, not wives anyway. We see that of her trying to force Kody to still be with Mary and see how that works. But as far as the other wives, she has not been doing any goodwill to repair the relationship. They haven't even been in touch with her. So I'm not quite sure where this is coming from. Is her mom telling her to say this or something? Is this given to her by production? I don't believe that for a second. So Janelle says she doesn't have any issue with seeing Robin and Kody together. They're a couple, and couples do couple things together. Everyone has to guess the gender of the children, the babies to be, and just about everyone believes that it'll be a boy and a girl. And as it turns out, when they do the gender reveal, it's going to be 2 boys. Kody says he's as happy with this as if it were 2 girls. And I was like, what? Why is he saying that? Just say you're happy regardless. But the smile on his face just looked so fake. I don't understand why he even said that. He didn't seem too genuinely happy with what he was saying. Kody says in the video chat that it was very bittersweet for him, but mostly sweet. He says that he's in a state of anxiety and paranoia over the strife being sent his way. And paranoia is right because no one's really checking for him like that. Janelle doesn't really care that he's there. Christine has moved on. Nobody's really paying him any mind. So where is this invisible strife coming from? Because, everyone has tried and failed to get him to see the light or to have a relationship with him, and they've given up. So I don't understand what strife he's referring to. But if you know what he's talking about, let me know. Janelle says Kody doesn't have much contact with many of the people in the boxes. She's referring to the video chat boxes, and she says she hoped that eventually that they'll be able to get together and do something in person as a family. Christine, on the other hand, is not ready to do anything with them quite yet. She says, in fact, she's not really interested in being cordial to them either. She just doesn't want to have anything to do with them, meaning Kody, Robin, and I guess includes Mary. Kody says that the family is in a civil war, which again is kind of paranoid speaking because no one is fighting with him. So I don't know why he's terming this a civil war. I don't know. I don't know why he's doing that. So he says that they're not going to separate him and Robin. He says that they want their dad and not Robin, but that's not going to happen. Now it's like, yikes. So basically, he's going to shove a relationship down their throats in order for him to be a dad to his children. So without Robin, he's refusing to be a father or grandfather to his children, other than, Mykelti and her family included. So it's very strange that he's willing to give up the relationship with Jesus, almost all his children, just because they may disagree with Robin or they may not like Robin. But it's their right. If they don't like her, they don't like her, If they don't want a relationship, they don't have to. But to withdraw affection as a father or, to be completely removed from their lives just because of that, I feel like he's using this as an excuse anyway, just to not do anything and just to hang with Robin. Because I feel like a true father would not allow that to come in between, him and his children. And I'm thinking also, if I were in that situation, just trying to put myself in the situation of children, not getting along with a stepfather. Yeah, the children are going to come first always. But Kody's of a different opinion. He is just so down with Robin that he cannot see anything else. Mary was absent from the conference call, and Janelle says she doesn't know where Mary is. And Kody says he thought that Mary and Mykelti were good, so he seems surprised as well that she's not present. Christine says Mykelti is not comfortable with everyone in the family, so something may have happened between the two that Kody's not aware of. I'm curious to know what that is or what that was. Christine says Mary won't be on any other things with Mykelti and the children. Yikes. So it seems like Christine knows what's up, what has happened, why she wasn't there, or why she's disinvited to any future events. Mary, on the other hand, said that she has been around the world and back, and that's why she wasn't on the conference call. I'm just kidding. She didn't really say that, but she said that she was traveling all weekend, and that must have been quite a road trip. Like, where have you been, lady? And why wasn't she on the conference call? She didn't say anything about that. It sounds like she was invited, but I guess we'll see as information comes out whether she was invited or not, or what the deal was. But she wasn't there. Anyway, so she says she was going to check on things at the Airbnb. She was at the carriage house looking around, and I was like, oh my gosh. Wasn't she told by Brad, was that his name, Brad, the designer, that she wasn't to see the space until the big reveal? Was it just me, or did I dream that up? But anyway, here she was, roaming around, going all over the place, looking to see what's in there. And I was just like, oh my God, lady, she just can't help herself. So then, after this happened, or in between this, here she goes talking about the anniversary conversation again. And I don't know if this is replayed, but it's in the episode, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I just want to pull my hair out. I do not want to hear anything else about this anniversary events. We've heard this, 3 episodes back to back? And the wedding stuff, I just don't want to hear it anymore. So basically, this is all she has to talk about at the moment. The anniversary issues, the marriage and the covenant that she had with Kody, and the renovations. There's nothing going on with the renovations at the moment, so moving on. So we see where it's almost time for Isabel to head back home, and so Christine and the rest of the family are gathered to have a farewell dinner for her. Mitch and Aspen are there, Tony and Mykelti, and Christine says she would love for Isabel to move back to Utah. But she says, she has to live her life. She asked, somebody at the table asked, if there's a possibility of her moving there. And she says, yeah, she'd definitely consider it. So that would be exciting to have her back there. At dinner, they brought up Christine and dating. Christine says in her confessional that Kody was the first boy that she kissed, and that only happened after they were married. And so we don't hear that very often. They joke around with her about ideas for dating, online dating, putting her toe in the pond, regaining her experience, and practicing and all that. She's like, wait, we're here to wish Isabel goodbye. Why are we talking about my my dating life? But they had some good jovial conversation about her, dating and getting back in the swing of things. And so Mitch was concerned. He said he was concerned about the type of people she would be finding on these dating apps. And then he said farmers only, which is kind of funny. Christine says she's not really in much of a hurry to get back on the scene. It's actually frightening for her. And entering the dating world at the age of 50 is terrifying. And she says, I'll just continue to hang out with Janelle. Really, she's not really interested in rushing back out there, but ultimately she would like to be in a relationship again. Kody says that his life has changed a lot, that he doesn't feel like he's a polygamist anymore. Well, I think everybody noticed that up to this point but you, but okay. He also confirms that he hasn't been to Janelle's house in like 10 months. And I was like, oh my goodness. He says he doesn't know what's going on in Mary's life half the time, and he talks about how special of a life that he has together with Robin and with all the time that he has on his hands to spend with Robin. He says he can now also, because he doesn't have he's not spending time with the other wives, he now has time that he can spend with his friends. So we see where his friend Brian is in town, and he says he has a little car lot. Why he had to call it little, I don't know. What was the point? He could have just said, he has a car lot in Oklahoma. So we see where they're working on hitching a trailer to the back of the truck at Coyote Pass. Apparently, Brian is buying some vehicles from him for the car lot. And so once they hitch the trailer to the truck, they're going to go over to Robin's place to load the white sports car into the trailer, and I think they're pulling another vehicle as well. So everyone has a confessional about the white sports car. So apparently he's had it a very long time, and so everybody has some memory associated with it, and so we see some flashbacks of that. He said he and Janelle went camping in it. Christine said Isabel was one of the last children to drive that vehicle. And Kody says that he and Robin fell in love in the white sports car. We also see where Robin says that she got her answer about marrying Kody in that car. She says she felt like God was talking to her in there, apparently. Kody also said that he went public about being a polygamist in that vehicle as well, so everybody has special memories in that white sports car. But anyway, so now he's choosing to get rid of it, and he wants to sell it to Brian. Back at the house, they are gonna load the vehicle into the trailer, and we see where Kody is driving it into the trailer. It's a very tight squeeze, and once he pulls the car in, they go to close the back, and it can't close. So he confessed that they didn't do any measuring. He thought it was a 12-foot car, and it's a 14 or whatever, which doesn't add up, because he's saying that they just need 3 more inches, but that's a 2-inch difference, unless he's adding extra space. I don't know. So he says they just need 3 more inches. So yeah, 3 inches of space just because they didn't measure. And so now he wants to tie in this lack of space, because he didn't measure, to his polygamous life. So he's saying that he spent most of his polygamous life constantly trying to fit square pegs into round holes. So the car's not fitting in the trailer is, I guess there's an analogy for his polygamous life. He says that he's been forcing things to fit versus asking, is this a fit? So I'm wondering who's he taking shots at? Anyway, ultimately, because they didn't measure, the vehicle cannot fit, and so Brian has to head back home without the white sports car. And I'm glad that was over. That was a boring scene between those two. So we see where Janelle and Christine are going to go on a road trip. Janelle has invited her to go with her to her brother's place to ride ATVs. Her brother lives in Idaho. Janelle says she hasn't done this before, but she's willing to give it a try. And she says it's also a great opportunity to hang out with Christine and get to know her family a little bit more. Over the years, though, I just wonder, would she not have met her brothers already or had interactions with them before? Or have they just not been in touch because they live in a different state? But you would think that they would have had a relationship outside of now, but let me know if you know more about this than I do. So during the ride, Christine asked about her thoughts about the comments that Robin made about getting approval to leave the marriage. Christine says in her confessional that if they were still a part of the church, then they would have to go through counseling and get approval from the heads of the church in order to get a spiritual divorce. And she asked Janelle if she's the only adult in the family who's not with the church or in the church. Janelle says she hasn't been to church in a very long time with anyone. And Christine says Robin was thinking that her getting divorced from Kody would invalidate her marriage. And so she asked Christine that, if her leaving would affect her marriage, which she says, she said, no, I don't think so. And Janelle says, in their faith, a spiritual marriage means more than a legal marriage. And so I was like, okay, well, what's the difference between that? I knew that like a spiritual marriage, I guess a spiritual relationship or marriage is not the conventional thing, but what really is entailed in that. So apparently a spiritual marriage goes beyond the grave, and it seals the husband and wife for eternity. So I guess this is what she meant about it being, meaning more than a legal marriage. And I was like, oh, take that, Robin. I understood what she was saying a little bit more. Robin says it's not something, Janelle says it's not something that you can easily decide not to do. But if they're not legally married, why couldn't she easily get out of it? Christine asked Janelle if she feels that her leaving invalidated their marriage to Kody. She said no initially, but then she said she doesn't know. And she goes on to say that she doesn't know if her and Kody are even married anymore, but they haven't had an official conversation. She also goes on to also agree with him in saying that he hasn't been to her house in 10 months. And Janelle says, she doesn't really consider herself married. She considers herself separated because, they haven't been in touch. They haven't had any conversations. They're not really doing anything. Kody, in his confessional, is blaming Janelle for making it difficult for him to reconcile with her. He says he doesn't want to reconcile, and he says she doesn't want to reconcile, but then also says he doesn't disagree with that. But sometimes he wonders if they're giving up too easily. Now, given what he's already said about him and Janelle in this episode alone, why is he continuing to talk about reconciliation with Janelle? It's like the same contradiction, different day, just a bunch of hot air with this guy. Kody says, I feel like Kody needs to find something else to talk about. Christine says, after Janelle mentioned that he hasn't been to the house, she was like, he hasn't been to your house in 10 months? She says, he has come over and saw the new place, but she hasn't heard from him since school started. I'm not quite sure what the time frame is. And Savannah hasn't heard from him in like a month. Kody, in his confessional, says that he hasn't been to Janelle's house in 10 months, but that doesn't mean that he hasn't been around. So what does this mean? Have they been meeting out? Because it sounds like Janelle hasn't heard or hung out with him either. So what does this even mean? And then he also hasn't been around to see Savannah in like about a month, according to Janelle. So what is around? Anyway, Janelle is quite content not seeing Kody. She's having a really zen time at her new place. She says she can go to bed with her book, read until she feels like turning out the lights, and she can have the dog on the bed if she wants to, which Kody didn't like. So she is living her best life at the moment. She is not interested, she says, in dating anyone right now. And she goes on to say that she doesn't really want to break her covenant with Kody without knowing that it's cool with God. And she says she doesn't know who or, how to make that happen or what she needs to do. But she says she's waiting until she knows what she needs to do. So I guess later on in the episode, we will see a little bit more about why she is waiting. I felt like she was hanging around for something else, for another reason, to be honest. Because she has somebody right next to her who's been recently divorced from the same guy in the same place. So why doesn't she, why isn't she making a move? And why is she saying that she doesn't know what she needs to do to break the covenant or to be able to get out? So that's interesting that she's saying that when Christine is right there with, and has been able to successfully divorce Kody. Janelle says she had a spiritual witness, which means, I don't know what that means, like a strong conviction from God maybe, to marry Kody. She says that she knew that she would marry him without a doubt. She also goes on to say that she was friends with Mary's family before she got married to Kody. And I was like, dang, wow. So when she mentions that when she met Kody, when she had introduced him as her boyfriend at the time, and so she describes having the feeling of, there you are when you walk in the room. So she knew at that point that she wanted to marry him. And I was like, can you imagine somebody else having these feelings about your spouse or somebody else and just biding their time? That is insane. So Janelle says Kody always asked, why don't you come and join my family, in a joking way. And so he, in his confessional, was somewhat trying to debunk this, because he was saying, yeah, I remember us talking a lot. Is that flirting? And then he says, we were talking and smiling a lot, so it must have been. So he's not straight up admitting that he flirted with her. But how did you get together then? There had to have been some flirting somewhere along the line. So that was kind of interesting. I was like, wow, so she has been eyeing Kody for a while, even before Mary got married to him. Ooh, wow, okay. So then she said that she had gone to Kody and said to him that she thinks that she should join his family. And he said, okay, let's pray about it. And I guess ultimately they had the right answers to the prayers. And I was surprised. I felt like Janelle was more of a traditional type woman. I did not expect Janelle to be shooting shots at all. Christine also says in her confessional that there was no doubt in her mind that that's who she was supposed to get married to. She says she also had a spiritual witness, but to me, in her face, she looked uncomfortable saying that, as if like she was told to say that. I don't know. She always comes off so genuine, but in this statement when she was saying that, I was like, something's kind of off. Or maybe it was just me. It just seemed like something was up with her saying that. She says she has no regrets, which I can see. They have loads of beautiful kids together. And she says she also, she knew she was going to marry Kody, but she also knew that without a doubt when it was time to leave. And so, it's all good in her book. Janelle says she doesn't believe that she made a mistake marrying him and that she would do it all over again. But it does appear that there's an expiration date on their relationship, which she never thought there was. And so she brings up the plural. Christine brings up the plural marriage again and asks her, about that. She says that she's open to it, but whether or not she does it again, she doesn't really know. Janelle says she's not interested at all in reconciling with Kody as they're on this drive. And so she's made that decision, but she hasn't left as yet. They go on to talk about, these traditions that they used to have. They used to have a 4-day feasting, Thanksgiving tradition. They used to have Friday night dinners with the family. And every Saturday they used to always do something as a family, but all this stopped when Robin joined the picture. Of course, Kody is contradicting this, saying that Robin always supported the family traditions and that it was a part of their negotiation when they got married. And I was like, thinking to myself, did this happen on opposite day then? Because these traditions disappeared when she arrived. So how did she support the traditions? So are the wives lying? Which I doubt. Is this what he's trying to say? How did Robin support the family traditions exactly? He says, as a matter of fact, Robin enhanced the traditions. But how? I don't know, but if you guys who've watched it for a long time, let me know of instances where she's enhanced the tradition, because according to the other wives, it's the opposite. Kody's the only one who's of this belief, which is crazy to me. Janelle says she feels like Kody, found someone that was more like him in Robin, and it was just easier for him to be with her. She says that he seems to want to focus on that, and that's fine with her because she doesn't want him back. Which I was like, okay, great. You go, girl. In the car, they're still in the car. Janelle says she's not making any decisions right now. And, they talk about, that she still has her family, which is she's okay with right now. Christine says that Janelle has been supportive of her when she decided that she wanted to leave. And, she wanted them to raise their children together. Christine says this is the reason that they can be sister wives, because they were the only part of the plural marriage thing that survived. Christine was there for her and always, was supportive of this decision that she wanted to be out when she wanted to be out. Janelle feels like there's still a family unit present there with her, Christine, and their kids, which is great. She's not like completely alone because she's not with Kody, and so she does have support in Christine, and they also get along well, which is good for the both of them. So later on in the episode, they finally make it to Idaho to visit Levi and Steve, who are Christine's brothers. We find out that Christine and them grew up in a plural household. Steve and Christine share a mom, while Levi is the brother from the sister wife, but they also grew up together. And so we see where they finally make it out on the ATVs, and Janelle is taking off on her own. She seems to have mastered it pretty quickly. I've never done this, so I don't know how quickly it is, how easily it is to maneuver. But she's taking off and she's having a good time. Christine is impressed at how quickly she's, taking charge of the ATV, and she's like taking off. And Christine says she's happy that she's taking charge and having fun and going for it, but not just in the experience that they're having, but also in her life in general. Janelle says she had a lot of fun riding the ATVs, which is kind of cool to see her, out and about having fun and not worried about, Kody and all the drama. So after they got done riding, they convened at the house with the brothers and one of the wives. I don't know if Steve's married, but Janelle asked, if they grew up together, and we find out that Christine's family lived downstairs while Levi's mom lived upstairs. Christine said that her dad married the other mom when she was 5, and her brother, Steve, remembers it not being really a great setup. Steve said it didn't really work for a long time. It didn't really work well. There was always tension and yelling and stuff like that. But Christine says she does not recall that, and I could see that because she was a very young child when that happened. Fortunately, she says she had a great childhood. She was happy. She remembers a lot of people in the house, and it was like a party for her. But her brother also, her brother being, I guess he's older, he remembers, there's always some tension in the family, and he would always wonder, like, who's going to blow up today? So it seems like, that plural set relationship was not working well at all. At least the wives weren't getting along, it doesn't sound like. Christine goes on to reveal that her and Janelle had lived together several times. They had lived in a small trailer. And Janelle says that in the beginning, it was the 4 of them in a small 3-bedroom mobile home. And I was like, wow, can you imagine 3 adults and a man in a trailer? So she also said that there was a lot of things that created conflict with both her and both her and Christine go on to bring up the fact that the place had paper-thin walls. So practically there was no privacy among the wives. Well, not in the house anyway. So, I imagine that whatever interactions that Kody was having with the other wives, if they're having conversations or whatnot, the other wives could pretty much hear. So, if there's a disagreement, it wouldn't be private, not unless they took it outside. So Janelle said it was a really miserable time. Steve says he doesn't really have anything to do with polygamy, but he's respectful of those who choose the lifestyle. Levi said he's not either. It's kind of hard enough to have a relationship with a man and a woman versus layering that on with the plural marriage situation. That was just, yeah, he doesn't want to have anything to do with that. So Christine mentions that, if he was considering polygamy when they met, and the wife JC says no, she didn't really even know about it until after a while. Levi said after she had already grown to like him, I think he said 9 months or something like that in the relationship, that he had revealed that he grew up in this polygamist household. JC said that she was scared that he was going to ask her to be one of them. When he brought that up, she didn't know that he wasn't practicing that kind of lifestyle. So she was kind of scared, like, oh my gosh, don't tell me this guy's going to ask me. So he is not in the polygamous lifestyle either. They are married and they have a son. We saw a little child in his lap at the table. And so Steve brought up that he understands the reason why polygamy was made illegal, to protect the children, because there's a lot of things that happen in those type of environments. And Janelle brought up that, all they have to do is give the women a legal marriage, which would protect the women financially. So this is how we got into the financial conversation. She says, in current plural marriage situation, the man can just up and leave. He can stop supporting the family, and he doesn't really have a legal obligation to do so anyway. Because they're not legally married in this plural marriage situation, there's one legal wife, and so the other ones are, spiritual wives, I guess. So because the other wives are not legally married, the wives would not have a legal claim to the husband anyway. So she feels like if the wives were given a legal marriage, then it would be healthier for everybody all around, because the men and the women would have options. And I feel like this was an interesting topic to bring up because, I've noticed how differently the wives live compared to Kody. Kody has this massive house, and they, even when you look at that compared to that apartment that Janelle was in, it was super, super tiny. And then, Kody seemed to be living way more lavishly than they were. Christine said the legal marriage would make it harder for them to divorce, considering how quickly she was able to flee from Kody. Which, but other than that, she says, yeah, I agree that, those financial protections for the wife would be great if they were able to have a legal marriage. Christine, in her confessional, says that she takes from the conversation with Janelle that if Janelle had a legal marriage to Kody and Mary as well, then when it came down to leaving, the legal divorce would allow them to split the assets equitably. So during the conversation, Janelle says that her assets, while she was at the table with everybody, she says that her assets were melded together with everyone else, and she's having to fight to get her estate separated. And this is why she's so passionate about, financial independence. Janelle says, she feels strongly that the women in the plural marriages should be empowered with financial choices and their ability to make financial decisions and their ability to make claims on their husband's estates, which, they currently are unable to do, which I agree. I mean, she spent, 30-something years with Kody and has, apparently, I don't know if this is true, but this is the impression that she's giving, that she doesn't have much to show for all these years that she's invested. So I can definitely see how this is a disadvantage for the wives in these types of relationships. Kody says that his goal was always for the wives to have their own assets. Really? He says that all the wives, along with himself, have 25% in Coyote Pass. And Janelle, in her confessional, says that Christine was able to sell her house, leave, and start over, but she doesn't have any idea if she's going to get anything at all. So this is why she is, bringing this conversation up, and this is why she's concerned. And I can see that because I know she had been asking about, what was going on with Coyote Pass, apparently bugging. What word did Kody use? So she was hounding him about Coyote Pass. He has some nerve. She's part owner. But anyway, we see Mary said that Janelle's name was on 2 pieces of the property and her name was on 1. But neither of them own it outright. But she believes that they are going to divide it up equally and fairly. I don't know if I trust Kody to do that because he had such an attitude when Janelle was asking about it. Why are you being shady? Why can't you be transparent about what's going on with the land? Anyway, Janelle says if she could do anything, she would be out there knocking on doors saying, get yourself financially independent. And I was thinking to myself, like, you have a platform. It would be a great cause to use your platform for, because, she knows firsthand how these things go and how these situations are a disadvantage for women. Not just in plural marriages, but also, it's similar situation for stay-at-home moms too, who, a lot of times are shut out financially because they don't work. And I feel like Janelle could really make a name for herself with this issue of financial literacy and financial independence for women. It would be great for her. I hope she pursues that because she could be like, guest speaker or something, motivational speaker, something around finances, and she would do good at it. Christine believes that a part of the reason that Janelle hasn't left Kody is because she has nothing to her name. And I believe that as well. She would have left a long time ago. As a matter of fact, in this episode alone, she's like, I'm not interested. I consider myself separated. But yet she's not making a move, which I don't blame her. She definitely needs to get her ducks in a row. And if there's things that are that needs to be wrapped up in order for her to be able to get what's hers, then feel free to do that. And so I understand for sure. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on this episode. Tell me in the comments, like, comment, and subscribe.